Good morning. Hello, friends, and I hope you're having a great Saturday. Welcome to today's Cichlids and Coffee. I appreciate you being here. And I can get a quick little sound and video check from GP or Candi. Thank you, GP and Candi, for being here. Kevin Green will not be here. He's driving up to what's called Big Bear, California, and little family vacation. And Denny is having to handle something this morning. So it's up to you, GP and Candi. It's you'll be the two moderators today, and I appreciate both of you greatly. So welcome everybody to the top 5 impossible fish keeping questions that I get asked over and over again. Now, in no way am I discouraging people from asking questions. Let's be real clear about that. I enjoy getting questions. I'm always saying there's no such thing as a stupid question, because I'm encouraging, and I love to encourage, as I'm sure a lot of you do also, brand new fish keepers. And very often they'll ask questions that that for a veteran fish keeper sometimes don't even make sense, but it's all part of growing and that sort of thing. So the purpose of this live stream topic is not to discourage the asking of questions. Ask away. At the same time, though, there are some that seem to be a reoccurring theme, and I'm going to get into 5 of them today. I'm sure there's a lot more. These are the 5 that I was able to think of in preparing for this live stream. So let's go ahead and officially get this underway. If you're new to the channel, be sure to hit that bell and that subscription and notification, all that good stuff. And that way you'll tell YouTube that you're getting something out of the channel, and it will encourage YouTube to share the channel with other fish keepers and keep us growing. I think we're about to hit 35,000 subscribers. That's mind-boggling to me. And anyway, I appreciate your support, and definitely be sure to hit that subscribe button. I think we're still at about 27% or 29% of people that watch the videos actually are subscribed or have notifications on. So if we can kick that up, and remember that if you ever subscribe and you don't like the content, you do get a full refund. So, and of course that's a joke. So I've got nothing to refund. I got nothing to give. So let's take a look at who's here real quick before we jump into it. And I think I saw, Ed. Hey, Ed's Pick Up Cichlids. Hey, hi to you. Night Rider. Good morning, Night Rider. And Mark and Edgar. Vicky Kuhn. Hi, Vicky. Oric Dela Cruz. Hello, Oric. Sean's here. And Texas Fish Room. Hey, Texas Fish Room. Glad you made it. Daniel Lopez. Hello, Daniel. And tanks look so nice. Hey, Sean. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. The African cichlids are hiding. I've done quite a few changes in the African cichlid aquarium. I'm going to talk about it in a video tomorrow. And I've sort of changed everything around, redecorated, added more hiding spots. And that has to do with the attempt at reintroducing the Eureka Red, which is going to be a bit of an experiment. The Eureka Red is currently in the tank that you probably can't see. There's a tank behind me here. Let's see if I can show it to you. Back there is the Eureka Red. He's in that tank, and it's a little 29-gallon, and he's doing really well. I didn't feel good about leaving him in the box. He was in the penalty box here. You see that little penalty box right there. He was there, and I didn't feel good about leaving him in there, so I took him out. Now, who's in the penalty box now? Now we have this over just a little bit more. We go now. Who's in there is the redfin borlei. The redfin borlei is going to get taken back to to Critters here in Nashville. I'm gonna take them back. Maybe they'll give me a credit, or maybe I can exchange it. I think that redfin borlei is a female, and of course, a female will add a different combination of hormones to the tank, and that could have been contributing, to some of the issues. So the redfin borlei is on the way out, going back to aquatic critters here in Nashville, and currently is living in the penalty box in that little Zeiss. That's a Zeiss breeder box, actually, that was sent to me by my friends at Aquarium Co-op. And you also notice I've added some caves and more of the elite cichlid plants. So you'll see all of that gone over tomorrow. Now, if some of you, and this will be the last and final commercial here, if some of you would like to support the channel, be sure to visit the Teespring, and you can pick up some merchandise there that supports the channel. Also use the Amazon link to access Amazon. Whether you need fish stuff or anything, if you use the link on qualified products, the channel will get a little bit of credit for what you buy. It's not a lot, it's a small percentage, but it helps out a lot. Also, a big shout out to the Cichlid Shack, a sponsor of the channel. Use Shack Attack 10, all lowercase. Be sure you do lowercase. Shack Attack 10, you get a 10% discount at the Shack Attack. I have 2 new sets of stickers coming. You can see them right here. It's the new design by Vinny from Vinny's Aquatics here on YouTube. He's making a light that's going to hang over my shoulder with this design, and then the Cichlids and Coffee logo. Those 2 stickers will be available in a week, and I'll be happy to send them to some of you out there. We'll play some games for them like we've done in the past, first one on the chat, that kind of thing. Now, we got to do the first on the chat after the live stream starts, because I've noticed some people will chat, like a day before, 30 hours, after the live stream starts, first person on the chat, they'll get we'll probably send out a sticker. And also there's a new coffee mug at the Teespring that has the logo for the Cichlids and Coffee. And that was suggested by Marla Craig. Marla Craig, if you're listening, thank you for that suggestion. She said she wanted a Cichlids and Coffee mug to watch the live stream. So I went ahead and made one, and it's available now at the Teespring store. So let's get into today's topic. Certainly, if you have any comments or questions as we go along, go ahead and put them in the chat, and then I will review the chat and scroll it back and try and get to as many of them as I can. The topic today is five questions that are really, when you think about it, in a lot of ways they're a bit impossible, because there's so many moving parts and so many things to consider. And sometimes people will throw a question at you and they're expecting a quick answer. And if somebody asks me a question, yeah, sometimes I'll do some research. Sometimes I'll do the research that probably they could have done, but maybe they were hoping I had a quick answer, because I like to be learning all the time too. So sometimes your questions force me in the direction of having to go look at something or study something. But let's take a look here at the 5 top questions, top 5 impossible fish keeping questions. And the first one I'll share with you is compatibility. I get this one a lot. And maybe you get it, maybe you've asked it. I've asked this question, in all honesty. Can I put an Oscar in with my African cichlids? Can I put a parrotfish in with my Mbuna? This is a very common question. Can I put some angels in there? Can I put some silver dollars in there? Will the geophagus be okay? Will they be okay with my Mbuna? Sometimes, if the answer is real obvious, I'll just throw it out there. No, you can't put those neons in with your haps. They'll become dinner. You can't do that. But sometimes there's a gray area. There's a gray area. And now, the absolute purist, there are some purists out there that say, well, you can only have fish that are from the exact same region for the exact same water parameters. And, you have to have a biotype, a tank that is a replica of what they would be living in nature. So you have those purists out there, and for them, it's a very black and white kind of situation. From there, you go into a long spectrum of people who'll put Mbuna, peas, and haps together. Some people don't do that. I stopped doing it a while back, putting Mbuna with peas and haps. There are people out there who throw whatever they like together. And they say, you know what? It's all locally bred. So they're all used to the water, the parameters in my area. They're all used to this pH. So, they're doing fine. And so then we have individual fish temperaments. Someone will ask me, can you put several Nimbochromis together? Can you put a Venusus with a Livingstoni and a Polystigma and a Linny? And, can you put those in the same? One person will go, oh, no, don't do that. That's horrible. You're going to end up with a battle royale. They're going to kill each other. Another person will say, yeah, roll the dice. Maybe you'll get lucky and end up with fish with the right temperament. And for every person out there that says, don't you dare put those two fish together, you'll probably find a tank somewhere that has those fish together. And they seem to be getting along. So it's a very, like one of my sweatshirts at Teespring says, it's a very fluid situation. It's hard to say. Individual temperaments, where was the fish bred? Is it 10th generation in local water? It's a lot of moving parts. But so there's no one answer. I can't even tell you 100% that you should keep peacocks together. Because I've seen peacocks, like I've just recently gone through, where they just start to destroy each other. Then again, I've had a group of peacocks that live fine together. So it's a real tough, a compatibility question. Now, I understand when you ask me these questions, very often you just want my opinion. I'll just give you my opinion. But for every opinion, there's going to be 100 cases out there. You know how many times I hear, hey, look, my peacocks and haps have been living with Mbuna for years, and they're doing great. And for me, in my mind, what I'm thinking is it'll go great until it doesn't go great. Same thing with the haps. You have predator haps that are in a nice, stable situation. They've figured out their hierarchy, and it goes great. And then something triggers, and then it's not going great. Then it's again a battle royale. So no one answer fits all. There's no, it's like that 1 inch per gallon. Sounds easy, sounds simple, but no, it doesn't really apply because there's a lot of factors involved. Okay, looks like we're up to 90 viewers according to my analytics here. Thank you, everybody that's sharing the, if you've shared the link with your friends, I thank you for that. And it looks like I missed a super chat in here somewhere. Did I miss a super chat? You are hey, Daniel. Thank you, Daniel. Very nice of you. I appreciate that. All right. So let's go to number 2 here. And number 1 being compatibility. It's just a hard question, and there's always going to be exceptions. And certainly fish that eat other fish, that's a pretty obvious answer. Okay. But let's go to number two. Number two is how many fish can I put into a blank gallon tank? This is probably the question I get asked the most. And again, there's a lot of moving parts. There are a lot of things going on here. How many gallons are we talking about? How big will those fish ultimately get? What's going to be your filtration and maintenance? Are you going to be doing water changes twice a week and servicing your filters at least maybe every 2 to 4 weeks? Then you could probably go with more fish. Are you, in all honesty, a little bit on the lazy side and you'll probably do water changes once a month? Do your filter maintenance every 3 to 6 months? You're probably going to need a tank that is lightly stocked. Otherwise, you're going to have problems. You're going to have high nitrates, ammonia issues. It's not going to be a good situation. You're going to have fish that are prone to illness. So, this also gets into that inch per gallon rule. Okay, inch per gallon, but how big do the fish get? You can buy 10 1-inch Oscars and put them in a 10-gallon. Okay. So think in terms of like a year from now, 2 years from now, where are we going to be at? So how many fish can you put into the tank? Ask yourself, how often, honestly, am I going to be cleaning that tank? Water changing, servicing the filters, vacuuming, and it's going to be an increasing number based on how often and how thorough you do that maintenance, and a decreasing number based on how infrequently you do that maintenance. Now, yeah, there's certain points where it just gets ridiculous. I mean, in these tanks behind me, would I put 30 peacocks that average between 5 and 8 inches in adulthood? Would I put 30 or 40 peacocks? I don't know. There's somebody out there that has that. There's people out there with a 55-gallon with 30 peacocks in it. I think I've seen them. So, to me, that's kind of going a little bit over the edge. You go on vacation or you become sick or something and you miss a week or two, things can get out of control and you could have a spike in ammonia or something very easily. So, yeah, there's some common sense you have to inject into it as well. And as soon as I get off this live stream, I'm probably going to have half a dozen people asking me every question I'm going to cover with you. I'll probably have it on Instagram and on Facebook. And by the way, you can follow me on Instagram at ben.o.cichlid. You can ask me a private question there. You can also email me. I don't discourage people from emailing me. With all of these things, I don't get back to you immediately, but I will get back to you. You can email me at ben.o.cichlid. ben.o.cichlid. Just like my Instagram, at gmail.com, at Gmail. And if you want to follow on Facebook, you can at Ben-O''Cichlid. That's a Facebook group, very helpful Facebook group. So let's get to number 3. What's the best fish food? Now, this is one of those questions that if you put it into an open forum, it's a lot like, what's the best filter? What's the best filter media? What's the best? Immediately, you're going to get a lot of people commenting about a lot of different things. Some people will be arguing about things. I really kind of gave up. Not really gave up, but realized that it was a little bit beyond my scope of understanding or education to determine the exact formula for the fish, for the best fish food. Now, I was very impressed by Nuri over at Piscine. He's got a great product. I've been impressed by, some of the things that Cobalt has done, that Northfin has done, that Extreme is doing with food. So all of these foods have, certain attributes. Now, figure into that also the unique needs of your particular fish. For example, the African cichlids need more protein, whereas your South Americans, and your Central Americans, like the Viejas, let's say, the Viejas need a vegetable rich diet. So somebody who's keeping Viejas or Geophagus, or somebody that's keeping haps and peacocks, will just ask me the blank question, what's the best food? And again, I've got to know about your fish. I've got to know, what are the nutrition requirements? What's the mix that you have in your tank? What's going on in there? And so there's a lot of different factors. The way I've solved that problem, as you know, is I just feed a whole mix of stuff. My fish get Piscine energetics. They get Extreme, which I get from the Piscine. I get from, I believe the Piscine I get from Super Cichlids over in Dover. Lisa and her crowd over at Super Cichlids. The Extreme I get it from the Cichlid Shack from James. I also have some Northfin in there. I have some of the Cobalt, the probiotic nutrition, some of the pellets, also some of the flakes. Extreme, I get it in both pellet and flake. So there's a lot of great food out there. The omega-1 frozen cubes, those are great. Fish love them. So I'm trying to cover all the bases by offering lots of different kinds, a variety of food. Sometimes I'll put them in one container just to make it easy. I'll put it in one container, but the vegetable, the heavy vegetable, that's in a separate container. Like I have a big Zoomed container, and it has some of, I think it's either Ron's or Ken's vegetable sticks, along mixed in with the Zoomed spirulina flakes. And so some of that will go into the South American, Central American tank, the one that you see right over my shoulder right here. Because the Viejas, they in particular, they love a lot of veggie. They love a lot of veggie. So again, that's a hard question. A lot of things to consider, a lot of things to roll around in your mind when you're considering food. I have a playlist that is dedicated to food. In that playlist is the discussion with Nuri from Piscine Energetics. He's the president, CEO of Piscine. And the 5-part series, I think maybe it's a 4-part series with him called Nutrition Masterclass. He doesn't just, he does promote Piscine like you would expect him to. But he gets into a lot of factors about food and the way food is prepared. That was very, very eye-opening, especially dried foods, the way they prepare dried foods and how it strips a lot of the nutrition, a lot of the value out of it, and how some of the things that are added to foods that can be actually detrimental. Your fish is actually trying to run color and ash and preservatives and fillers, using energy to move things through their body that provide no nutrition. So it's almost like a negative. The food has a negative impact on the fish and is more likely to create things like bloat and constipation, things of that nature. Very interesting discussion with Nuri over at Piscine Energetics. By the way, just as a side note, have you ever had a fish that all of a sudden just started to blow up like a puffer fish? My Autopharynx tetrastigma, beautiful fish, And I come down one morning, and his body, it looks like somebody put a bicycle pump in him and just pumped him up. His body looked fat. His eyes were bulging, not foggy, not like they were getting any kind of a film on them or anything like that, or a fungus. He just looked like somebody had filled him up with air. I mean, it was really weird. So what I did is I pulled him out of the tank and I put him in a little hospital tank. It's right behind me. He's doing great now. He deflated. But what I did is I'm fasting him, and I'm adding Fritz salt. It's a 5-gallon. I'm sure you can see it. So I can turn it. Maybe you can see it. It's a little 5-gallon. So I can turn this and maybe you can see him. A little bumpy ride here. He's down there. I don't know if you can really make him out, but he's down there. And the way the tripod is set up, it's a little bit hard to get it in position. But what I can do is loosen this up here. There we go. There he is. All right, there he is. So he's doing well now. You can see him there. But he was the size of he was like a balloon, like a pufferfish. And it was a little bit crazy. Let me get the camera back in place here after I've taken you on this little trip. All right. Anyway, has that ever happened to you? Do you ever have a fish that all of a sudden just puffed up on you like that? It was really weird. And so anyway, good news is he's responded to the salt. Adjusting the camera here a little bit. All I did was just give him a little bit of salt. 1 tablespoon for every 5 gallons, right? With just 1 tablespoon. I'm giving him a water change every day, 50% water change. And he seems to be doing a lot better. So get this over here, get in position. All right. Anyway, has that ever happened to you? I'd be curious to find out. I thought he might have had, there is a disease where a fish can actually start to, like do that, where their scales actually stand up. It's a very bad disease, and usually they don't survive. So I was very concerned, but he's better now. All right. So let's take a look here. Epsom salt also helps them. So, I was wondering about that, about Epsom salt, because I've heard there's one type of salt that works more as a diuretic or with constipation. And that probably is the Epsom salt that you're talking about. So this was just a straight, I'll show it to you. It's this stuff right here. Fritz A+, promotes fish health, reduces stress, provides essential electrolytes, promotes disease recovery, and facilitates osmoregulation. So it was the osmoregulation that I was concerned with, because it was obvious that he was having difficulty with fluids, and so this worked. This actually worked. This was sent to me by, again, Aquarium Co-op. Aquarium Co-op sends me goodies. They send me a goodie box and take care of me. Dropsy, that's it. That's it, Daniel. That's the disease where they get really big and to the point where the scales actually stand up. Dropsy, and I was afraid it was dropsy, and but now he's thinned out. His eyes have stopped bulging, and he's swimming all around. And I think he's about ready to start taking food again. I was waiting to see him. I wanted to see him actually poop, at the risk of sounding gross. I want to see him poop, and so I'll give him a little food, and I'll watch and see if he starts. Then I know his body is like functioning the way it's supposed to. But he's got color, he's active, so he'll be going back into this tank very shortly. And so today I'll maybe even put him back today, and I'll be taking that redfin borlei out. But certainly I digress. Let's go to number 4. And number 4, what's the best media? Now, here's another one of those topics that you almost have to play that video of that guy, get ready to rumble. And I don't know why people are so passionate about that. It's like, one person is banging the drum about Matrix, another person is saying they're using pot scrubbers and that Matrix is a waste of money. Another person is using garden pumice. Another person is using Biohome, and everybody has the best. And and very often you'll get a person in there who thinks that yours isn't any good and theirs is better. And it's like, oh, come on, look, the best media, in my opinion, is the media that's working for you. I mean, that's the truth. And and I've had success with so many different types of media over the years, which is why that's partly what encouraged me to go into the phase I'm into right now, which is really just using sponges as a home for, sponges and substrate and decor as the home for beneficial bacteria. Because I had success with just about everything. I've had success with garden pumice, which is very inexpensive, just white garden pumice. You can buy it at any garden shop. I've had success with pieces of lava rock that I've broken up and thrown into a filter. Plain sponges have been successful. I mean, so now some people have mentioned recently, hey, look, you used to be real big on, you used to talk a lot about Biohome, and I noticed recently you're not talking about Biohome. You're not using Biohome. What's going on with Biohome? Well, let me be real clear about that. And personally, I love Biohome. I think Biohome is actually a great media. And people have different opinions about it. I get it. Some people will comment, oh, no, that's it's a waste of money, blah, 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 false claims, blah, blah. I've heard it all. All I can talk to you about, and this is what most fish keepers can talk about, all they can talk about is personal experience, and the only science we can have out there is anecdotal. And there's even a website out there called Aquarium Science. And the person who runs that, it's one person, happens to be a member at the Ben O. Cichlid Facebook group. David, he seems very dedicated to the hobby and is well-intentioned. But at the end of the day, a lot of what he talks about under the banner Aquarium Science is anecdotal. There's no peer review, there's no side-by-side, there's no repeated results, like you repeat the results of something over and over again, then you have someone else follow the same steps and get the same results, and now we're talking science. It's really just, hey, I did this, and this is what I observed. So in the end, a lot of what we talk about in fish keeping is just anecdotal. It's just, this is my opinion. This is what worked for me. It might work for you. It might not work for you. What kind of fish are you going to be keeping? What's their waste production? How heavy are you going to stock? What's going to be how much substrate are you going to use? You can go bare bottom, you can go substrate, you're going to use a a big substrate. Or how often are you going to clean your filters? How do you clean your media? Do you run them under tap water? Do you use tank water? I mean, again, there's a lot of factors here. But I'll tell you this, the aquarium that was my most stable was my 60-gallon back in California. And those canister filters were stuffed, they were stuffed with Biohome Ultimate. Biohome Ultimate, and there was some Marine Pure in there too. Two very high-end, very expensive medias. Biohome Ultimate and Marine Pure are both expensive, extremely porous medias. And the theory is that because of how porous they are, there's the theory. The theory is that you end up with zones inside of those kinds of media that doesn't have a lot of movement or water or oxygen, and so you get these anaerobic zones deep inside of that media, and that helps to promote nitrate control. That's part of the theory of those expensive, very porous type medias, like your Marine Pure Biohome Ultimate. So some people will say, wait a minute, after some, those medias will grow a film on the outside of them, like mulm, and stop being effective. I don't know. I mean, all I know is that, again, anecdotal, the most stable tank that weathered most evenly became the most, as Corey calls it, the most seasoned tank. That was the 60-gallon, and it had Biohome Ultimate. And full disclosure, it also had some Marine Pure in there. So, yeah, what is the best media? You know what? I think I could get good results with pot scrubbers, with pumice from the garden store, with Matrix, right? With plastic bio balls with sponge inside of them, which I promoted a while back in a video. I think it's brilliant. I think the key is to rinse your media in tank water before you put it back. Keep it wet during maintenance so the media doesn't die. Things like that. Real simple, common sense things. But all those things are good. And I've never used pot scrubbers. Makes sense, lots of circulation. But now we're back to sponges. Sponges provide great circulation, a lot of surface area. And there are some folks out there, and if I end up doing a homemade sump, that homemade sump, the way I'm probably going to do it is I'll buy, there's these hard mesh sponges. You can buy them at Bulk Reef Supply, BRS, I think at Bulk Reef Supply. There's these hard square pieces of mesh that are a sponge-like shape. You can stand up one of those, stand up a couple of them, and then put sponges in between them, just cut sponges, maybe some sponges from Swiss Tropicals, some of those matin sponges, and just have that. So I've got the water coming from the tank, going through the mesh, going through, coarse, medium, and fine Swiss Tropical sponges, a mesh bracket or a mesh piece again to keep it all standing, and then the return pump, and that'll be the sump. Absolute simple sump. And it's going to cost me probably very inexpensive compared to like an ESOP, $400 sump. And I anticipate it'll give me great results. Lots of surface area with those sponges. And I'll throw it into a 29-gallon that I pick up for $30 at $1 per gallon sale, right? So anyway, what's the best media? The best media is what's working for you. If your fish look healthy, they're active, they're colorful, they're eating, you know what? You've got the best media. And when I first got back into fish keeping, I was chasing the holy grail of media. I was buying this and buying that. I've spent so much money on media, and hundreds of dollars in media, all to go full circle and to end up back at sponges, right? So will it grow? Will something attach to it? Will beneficial bacteria grow on it? Yes. Try it. Got nothing to lose. Number 5. I love this question. And usually it doesn't come with any pictures or video. If I had pictures or video, I would probably have a fighting chance at answering this question. But usually it just comes in the form of a message or an email. My fish is acting funny, suddenly died, stopped eating, doesn't look right, is hanging out in the corner, hanging out at the top. Why? Again, so many possible answers. Maybe the food is maybe you're giving them the wrong food. Needs veggies, you're giving them heavy protein. Needs protein, you're giving them heavy veggies. What are the water parameters? What's your temperature? Maybe your temperature's off. Some fish like it really warm. Some fish like it cooler. What's your pH? Do the fins look messed up? Does he have marks on the side? Is he being harassed? Is he being bullied? What's your oxygen level? Is there surface movement so that the bad gas can leave and oxygen can get in? Are you breaking up the surface enough? So there's so many moving parts. It's such a fluid situation that unless you send me a video or I come over and I spend some time and look at them, I'm going to be shooting from the hip. And on all of these, in an effort to help you, unless I don't know the answer, in which I'll tell you, look, I don't know. I'll do you a disservice if I try and answer. But with all of these, I might just throw something out there. I'll go, look, this would be my first guess or the first place I would check. But honestly, I could be way off because I'm just shooting from the hip. I really don't know. And I feel bad. I want to help the person. I've been through the anguish of not knowing what's going on with my fish and having it drive me crazy. If you've been following me recently, you know that fish were being picked off in the middle of the night. It was driving me crazy. And now I've made a lot of changes. I'm going to talk about it in tomorrow's video. Fingers crossed. Knock on wood. It's going to work out okay. I don't want to get rid of that Eureka Red Jake. I mean, I was this close to rehoming him. Such a beautiful fish. If I can keep him, I will. But you can be sure I'm going to be on him like a hawk. I'm not going to reintroduce him to the tank and then go somewhere. I'm going to reintroduce him to the tank, watch him for a long time, and then turn the lights off and watch for a long time. I'm going to observe him like a hawk. And if I notice that he doesn't, not the little chasing you normally get with cichlids, that's normal, I expect it. But if I notice that he does, like if he tries to do a hard hit on another fish, he's out. He's out. I'm going to throw him on Craigslist. I'm going to give him away to somebody because I'm not going to let him kill other fish. I'm also going to be getting a lot more fish from the shack, so I'll be really crowding up this tank, and then I'll be spreading it out. I'll be putting it into a 6-foot tank. I'm not sure yet if I'm going to put the African cichlids or the South and Central Americans into the 90-gallon. The 90-gallon is sitting here on the floor. I'm waiting for the stand. Thank you to everybody who contributed to what color I should paint the stand. I'm leaning towards stain so you can see some of the wood grain because the wood grain is beautiful. So maybe a gray, because I have these black stands. So maybe like a gray stain, something like that. So it matches the black. And I might go with a black substrate. You know, of all the substrates I've had, the substrate that got the most comments that people seem to like the most was the black substrate in the 100-gallon acrylic that I had back in Los Angeles. People love that substrate. And they're always asking me, hey, that's it was Imaginarium black. I think it's just Imaginarium black. And I think Imaginarium is a trade name that's owned by Petco. And I bought it on the, I got it over the internet, and great sand. For some reason, it would hold together, so you could use a power head, and it would sweep the detritus towards the filter intakes without changing the contour or kicking up too much of the sand. This white sand behind me in the South American tank, this white sand is great, but it's like talcum powder. It's so light that it comes up the siphon very easily if you get too close. And I'll tell you, it keeps you on your toes because it shows every little speck. So if you have a, if you want something to make you keep your maintenance, that's a good way to do it. There's a spider on my camera, a little spider. Anyway, I think I got rid of him. Now I've got a mouse and a spider. So one of the pitfalls of being in the garage, it's not entirely sealed. There's little gaps here and there, and I think critters come in. So that's number 5. Let's take a look at what you have to say about all this, and take a look at the chat. Hey, Oric, thank you so much. And thank you so much for that super chat. I appreciate that. And Sean agrees that gray is a good color. And yeah, a gray that shows the wood a little bit, but it's definitely gray. So you have the grain highlighted with gray, and then do it in a way so I can seal it so that it's really waterproof. I'm thinking of using some of the just some real strong sealant. There's a thing called Kilz, I think, or Kilz, K-I-L-Z, I think it's called. It inhibits mold growth and seals at the same time. I might do that on the bottom, on the inside. It stinks like crazy, so you got to have it air out for a while, and it's probably very toxic. So, but I'm thinking of maybe sealing it with Kilz, and so it's very waterproof and sealed, and then on the parts that show, use the gray stain along with some sealant. And let me see here. Let's take a look here at, I have a different way of looking at the chat where it lets me scroll back. 146, hey, pretty good. And T-Bone, hey, T-Bone, thank you for that super chat, my friend. Sorry I missed you. Once I start to ramble, I just go out of control. So I'm scrolling back on the chat using the YouTube control panel, control screen here. How many Predator haps can you put in a 5-gallon? Hold on. That's EKOED, echoed. And the answer is 0. Actually, you probably could put a whole bunch of little juvie, Fuscos and Venuses. But once they get up around, once they get over near a ½ inch, that's it. You got to get out of there. Paul McCartney, I sat watching the live stream next to my peacocks and hap tank. They definitely got aggression issues. Comes with the territory, right? We love the beautiful colors, and come on, guys, show your faces. Stop hiding. Anyway, we love the beautiful colors, and it's sort of the price we pay for keeping these beautiful fish. And Paul, I have not been to England. I'd love to go to England. I have something going on right now that could involve Ireland. Maybe I'll hop over. I'd love to go to the UK. Interestingly enough, the UK and Australia are a large percentage of the viewership of the channel, UK and Australia. And so I really appreciate my friends in that part of the world. And Tony says, listening to the stream while on my way to get a new 40-gallon multiple tank syndrome has hit me badly. I blame you, Ben. You rock, my friend. Thanks for the great. You know, I tell people, if your spouse has any questions, I'll write a note for you. See, I can have multiple tank syndrome now because I'm not in the house anymore, so it's okay. I don't have to negotiate for every tank. I used to have to, like, you know, paint walls and do stuff, and now I can throw whatever I want in the garage. So let's see here. Sean says that he had 22 mixed peacocks and haps in my 75-gallon, did 2 water changes per week with an FX6 and a 407 handling the filtration. And there you go, Sean. Now, see, somebody who, let's say somebody had a tank like that, but they were lazy. You know, they'd skip a week here and there, and all it takes is one spike, you know, one jolt of ammonia, and all of a sudden you have half the stock you had before. Or because of the waste buildup, the fish become more prone. You know, there's more bacteria in the tank, and because you have more waste that is serving as a sort of a dish or a breeding area for bacteria, and so all of a sudden you're battling illnesses, and the tank will sort of adjust its stocking level to your maintenance level. It will find its level. But because you were doing twice a week water changes and maintenance on your filters like that, the level was very high. You could do that. You could get away with it. But there's no wiggle room. If you're going on vacation for 2 weeks and you have your sister-in-law watching the tank and she's not doing any maintenance, just feeding them, it's, you know, it could get a little dicey, you know? Rico Stan, more than half of you forgot the like button. Thank you, Rico Stan. I appreciate the backup, my friend. Karma, some of my fish's favorites: Extreme Nano Pellets, API Bottom Feeder Pellets, and Hikari Algae Wafers. There you go. I didn't even mention algae wafers. Algae wafers are also a staple. All right, I'm going through the chat here. And Oric, thank you so much for that. And I also had one from Paul. Paul, thank you, my friend. Ben, you keep me entertained. Your South American tank needs a normal Jack Dempsey. You know what? I do want one. Someone offered me a beautiful Jack Dempsey, but we started talking about it. First of all, he was about 7 inches, a bit too big to put into the South American tank now. Beautiful fish. But actually, no, wait, I take it back. I'm sorry. That was about a green terror that someone offered me. And it was 3 hours away. I didn't want to drive 6 hours to get the fish. So unfortunately, I had to pass on it. But yes, a regular Jack Dempsey. I am considering. I saw some turquoise over at the Critters. They had those turquoise. I think they were turquoise Jack Dempseys. Gorgeous fish, primarily blue and green, beautiful fish. I am seriously considering one. So if you have any questions, go ahead and ask them now. And well, Mark Johnson forgot to turn. I'm gonna share something with you, Mark. You're not alone, my friend. I unplugged the heater in the little 5-gallon hospital tank when I do a water change, because it's a stand-up heater and half the heater goes, you know, is exposed when I do the water change. I guess maybe I could lay it on its side, which is the way I have the heaters laying on their side in these tanks. That way when I do water change, I don't have to worry about it because the water level never exposes the heater. But I unplugged the heater. I forgot to plug it back in. Then the next morning, I take the Strawberry, who was in quarantine because he had a little bit of a foggy eye. So his foggy eye cleared up with a lot of water changes. And I first started treating him with Maricin, and then I stopped the Maricin. I just started doing lots of water changes. And so I took the Strawberry out of quarantine, put him into this tank, and took out the Autopharynx, who was having a little bit of swelling, and put him into that tank. Then I realized that I had forgotten to plug in the heater from the day before. So I moved the fish from 78 degrees to 71 degrees. I just flip-flopped 71 so one went from 71 to 78, and the other one went from 78 to 71 with no floating, no transition. And I thought to myself, when I realized what I'd done, I thought, I'm gonna have 2 dead fish. So anyway, they both look great, but people make mistakes. It happens, and it just happened to me. Moral of the story is, one of the reasons why I lay my heaters sideways is so that I don't have to worry about that. So it's never an issue. Buy full submersible heaters. I think most heaters these days are fully submersible, most of them, and lay them sideways. You will not have to worry about having to unplug and plug them back in. So let's see what else is going on here. Yes, it's raining here. Number SLS, Tennessee weather right now, cloudy. It is cloudy, and it was in the 70s yesterday, but it is raining. Evan Glossifer, the electric blue Dempsey didn't go well. Maybe the color variety isn't a good choice. I think mine, Evan, my electric blue died because, and again, people had warned me about it. Mine just tipped over, went from beautiful color, beautiful fins, active at the front glass, interacting, eating well, flipped over and died. So I've heard that it's because they do have some genetic issues that is part of that particular line of fish. So any questions, go ahead and ask them now. We'll go ahead and open this up to questions. And I thank all of you who super chatted. That's very, very helpful and helps me. It looks like you folks have some good discussions going on between you. Distortion Bristol, I would love to visit the Ohio Fish Rescue. And it's what they're doing there. Big Rich and his group, what they're doing there is amazing. I can't believe what they're doing. And they got that enormous tank. I think it was from a casino in Vegas. Beautiful thing, and they've turned it into a cichlid tank. Amazing, absolutely amazing. I'd love to go there someday. Maybe if I end up going to Aquashella in Chicago, maybe that wouldn't be that far away to, maybe Ohio Fish Rescue will probably be at Aquashella. They'll probably be there. T-Bone, T-Bone, that's not a bad idea to just turn off your heaters in the summer. The temperature variations will probably be nominal. And especially if you have your tanks in your house where you're controlling temperature. And a lot of folks do that. And of course that reduces your electric bill and reduces the chance of mistakes, and also the chance of an equipment malfunction where you end up cooking your fish unless you have a controller on your heater. So not a bad idea to unplug or pull out the heaters in the summer months. Mr. Is that Terminator? Tirmenat, Mr. Terminator with an I. Thank you. You've learned so much. You're welcome. You're welcome, Mr. Terminator. Sean Quell, Cobalt neotherms are great. Can always tell if they're... Yeah, the Cobalt heaters, you know, at first they got a little bit of a bad rap. I think they were having some sticking issues. I spoke to the rep, the Cobalt rep, at a fish show. The American Cichlid Keepers Association, the ACA association meeting, and he told me they had reworked those heaters and they're rock solid now. I know that Joey, the king of DIY, he had some issue where some of them burned up or blew up, but I think later he clarified and said that it was more on him because he had strapped a bunch of them together. He sort of made a heater bundle, and they ended up sort of reacting to each other and creating the short circuit and blowing up or melting or whatever. Killed an arowana, I think. It was a really bad situation. But I think Joey later came out and said, look, it wasn't Cobalt, it was on me. Here's what happened. So I'm running Cobalts. There's a Cobalt in the heater in the tank behind me, the 29. I had 150 watt Cobalts in these, but if you go back to those two videos I released, heaters are liars. I think it was heaters are liars. 150 watts was not enough for the 55 gallon in a garage with 10 degrees outside. So I put 300 watt heaters. That did the job. It was fine with 300 watt heaters. I came up with an equation of 5 or 6 watts per gallon in cold weather. Worked fine. Otherwise, the heater couldn't keep up. It couldn't keep up with the cold weather. 5 or 6 watts per gallon. Ideally, in a controller. Why a controller? Now, by the way, I talked about this one heater in the recent video, so you can find it. I talked about this Hager, this heater here. This is 500 watts, 500 watt heater, and just go ahead and turn this off here. This is a 500 watt heater, very compact. Look how small that is. A little bit bigger than my hand. And this thing could handle probably my 90 gallon. Great for a sump. Look how short that is. You can put that in a sump, and you're not gonna have to have half the heater sticking out like was happening with my Eheim 300 watt heaters. It's about less than half the size of the Eheim 300 watt. Now, I want to make something real clear. This control, the controls of this heater, these are the controls of the heater. This is not a controller. This is not a controller. This is just where you have the sensors, the thermostat, and all the goodies that would normally be inside the heater. So this heater is smaller because all of the temperature control things that would normally be inside the heater are here, are inside this. So this is not a controller. Don't think it's a controller. It's not going to prevent a heater from cooking your fish if it were to malfunction. If the things inside of here malfunctioned and stuck, your fish would get cooked. So it wouldn't be a bad idea to take this unit and plug it and plug it into a controller. So you plug this into a controller, like one of the ones that you see hanging back here. These are controllers over here, True Temp controllers, or you can get things like Inkbird controllers. So you plug the whole thing into a controller, and in the event that your tank starts to get too hot, the controller cuts off the electricity. So if your heater starts to go crazy, which happens, so people that had controllers with the old cobalts that would stick, their fish, they probably maybe didn't even notice the problem, because the electricity would turn off when the cobalt would make the tank a little bit too warm, and then would come back on when the tank cooled down a little bit. So the controllers more or less just saved the life of those fish. So this is why I'm a big advocate for controllers, because they just cut off the power if your tank starts to get too hot. So that's my controller speech. Let's see here. We're down to 132. Let's see. Any more questions? Did I miss any super chats? T-Bone, I think I got T-Bone. Oric, yeah, I got you. Paul, thank you, Paul. Fishmatic. Scrolling through. I'm scrolling through the chat. Well, I love to watch you guys get into a lot of conversations here. All right. Well, it looks like we're on the hour. So I want to thank all of you that have been on the stream today. And I want to thank my moderators. We're going to miss you, Candi. We're going to miss you next week. And but I get it. And there's probably going to be a week in April where I probably will not have a live stream. I'll let you know, because I'm going to be driving what's called the Natchez Trace, which is a very old highway here in Tennessee. It goes from Tennessee all the way down to the Gulf, or maybe all the way down to Mississippi. Anyway, the Natchez Trace Highway. We're going to be driving that for a few days. So that's going to be over a Saturday. So I'm probably not going to do a live stream that week. I'll let you know. I'll still have some videos that'll release, maybe some cichlid profiles, things like that. And so I've got some videos. Watch tomorrow's video. I'm going to talk about the steps that I took to reintroduce the Eureka Red. I'll be reintroducing the Eureka Red into this tank today. After I'm going to remove that redfin borlei and do another water change to pick up any residual hormones, put some new carbon into the filters so that they pick up, hormones and who knows what else, residual meds, anything that might be in the tank, you can pick up with carbon. So I'll throw some carbon in the filters, get the tank ready, then I'll throw the Eureka Red in there along with this new decor that I've added. And hopefully that'll work out. I'll keep an eye on them. I want to keep that fish, and if it doesn't work, I'm going to rehome them, probably give them away. So that's it for me. Thank you so much, everybody. Be sure to, if you haven't already, hit that sub button, hit the bell, hit the notification bell, tell YouTube you like what you're hearing, follow on Instagram at ben.o.cichlid, and come over and join the Facebook group, Ben_Cichlid. Great group of fish keepers, always willing to help. And thank you to everybody. Thank you, super chatters. Thank you, moderators. And that's it for me. I'll see you next weekend, everybody. And check out tomorrow's video. Hope to see you then. Bye-bye.